Have you ever seen other players leveling up really fast and thought, how on earth are they doing that? Chances are they're using major experience buffs. Buffs that are only available during certain events throughout the year. And guess what? Right now is one of those rare opportunities where they all line up. Currently, World of Warcraft is holding its 20th anniversary event, giving you a 20% experience boost. But that's not all, there are other seasonal events happening at the same time. And if you get everything just right, you can stack all of these bonuses for a total of 85% extra experience, which is huge. Let's go over all the sources of the XP buffs happening right now so you can make the most of them, starting with the anniversary event. During the anniversary event, you'll get a 20% experience boost split into 2 buffs. You get the first 10% just by logging in. For the other 10%, you need to complete the Celebrate Good Fun daily quest in Tanarus to receive the Blessing of the Bronze Dragonflight buff. This buff lasts 12 hours and even sticks around if you are logged out. Next we have Hallow's End, which runs until November the 8th. This event grants a 10% boost by simply clicking on the bonfire outside Stormwind or the pile of Wickerman Ash outside the Undercity. Just remember this only lasts 2 hours and it is lost upon death. Next up we have Darkmoon Fair. This event brings 2 XP buffs, but they don't stack. First, you have the Wii buff from the Darkmoon Carousel or Roller Coaster. Or, if you prefer, you can buy the Darkmoon Top Hat from Gilvas Grimgate for 10 Darkmoon prize tickets. If you are low on tickets, you can grab items like the Soothsayer's Runes or the Mysterious Grimoire from the auction house, which can be turned in for quick tickets, and then buy the hats. My personal preference is to use the carousel or roller coaster first, and while there pick up some top hats so I can refresh the buff without going back to the Darkmoon Fair. The next buff is War Mode. This can give you 10% XP starting from level 25. To enable this, you're going to need to go to a major city like Stormwind, Orgrimmar, Valdrakken or Dornagol. However, be warned, you will be available to be attacked by other players. But if you do need to turn it off, you don't need to return to a major city, you can do this in any rested area. Next, we have the Draft of the 10 Lands. This is a potion you can purchase from either Dazralor or Borealis, depending on your faction. It'll cost you 5 Legion service medals or 5 Honor-bound service medals. If you're looking to obtain these service medals, they are from world quests in Arathi Highlands and Darkshore, while your faction controls those war fronts, and also from the assaults on Zandalar and Corteris. Just as a reminder, the potion and the currency is warbound, so you can trade it between characters and use the warbound bank. However, this potion can only be used below level 50 and is lost when you die. And finally we have the Warbound Mentor buff. This is a simple, for every max level character you have in your Warbound, you will gain an additional 5% increased experience, stacking up to 25%. So when is the best time for these overlaps? Well, the best is November 3rd to November 8th. You can get up to 85% increased experience. And then on November 9th, it will drop down to 75%. And then your other dates will be December 1st to December 7th, January 5th to January 11th, you will have 75%. All other periods until the end of the anniversary event will be 65%. So what order should you pick these buffs up? It's going to depend which is active and whether you started with an allied race or not. Regardless of whether you decided to level an allied race or not, make sure you've mailed yourself the Draft of the 10 Lands and any Darkmoon Fair items you want to use. If you decided to start at level 1, I'd recommend picking up the Darkmoon Fair and Hallow's End buff as early as possible. Then move on to the Tanarus buff when you hit level 10. If you decided to actually start an allied race, I'd recommend going straight to Tanarus, grabbing that buff, and then on the way back, pick up the Hallow's End buff, and then finally end up in the Darkmoon Fair. Now that you've stacked your buffs, here are some strategies to help you level even faster. Time walking dungeons are a fantastic choice, especially if you're playing a tank or a healer, or manage to team up with one for a lot faster queue times. These dungeons are usually quick and offer a lot of XP at the end of the dungeon. Questing is another fast option, especially if you pick zones with a high density of quests. I've included a list of zones I recommend on screen, but a lot of the classic zones and some of the Warlords of Draenor zones are really good for this. If you do have a strong battle pet, make sure to do pet battle tamer quests. These give a lot of XP for a very little amount of time. However, you can only do these once on your account per day. Delves are surprisingly good XP for very little effort. My strategy is to keep the delve at level 1 and target places like Fungal Folly and Skyrian Breach so that I can clear them really quick and just get that bonus XP at the end. With all these buffs and strategies, I hope you're set to level faster than ever. Let me know in the comments if this guide was helpful. Cheers and happy leveling!